Hello everyone, and welcome back to 4 Kilobyte Shorts Let's Play of Kerbal Space Program with Kerbal Space Adventures. We are here at the KSA Xavier with our hitchhiker unit. Unfortunately, I did not design this thing to have a tail on it when we arrived, so although we have a ton of fuel left in this little guy, we do have to get rid of it in order to catch back up to the Xavier using our RCS. So we are in fact going to make sure our engines are offline and say goodbye to our little friend here. So long, we will miss you, sir. Now, we do have to get towards our target, so for that we're going to use a little bit of RCS without a problem. Let's go ahead and I think we should just enter docking mode, right? Yeah, we'll enter docking mode. Now, we want rotation, and this is where things get a little bit weird, so we do want to turn on our SAS. Yeah, we do have our, okay, now RCS, and then we just want to not rotate. We want to go forward. Alright, so we're going to head towards the ship a little bit. And we are going to, as I said, we are going to use RCS rather than anything else because, well, because RCS it's not bad. No, that's the word I'm looking for. Wow, I'm like not doing very well. Because RCS is in fact cheaper in the long run than, say, for instance, regular fuel. We do want to keep our regular fuel on hand for whatever. So because of that, let's go ahead and switch up. We want chase cam, right, guys? So let's go ahead and free camera. All right. Orbital camera, chase camera. Here we go. Okay, that's gonna roll us around. There we go. Now we're up. I guess you could say, right? Yeah, we're up. So this is where our nose is pointed, and that's what we want more than anything else. So let's go ahead and throttle forward because we want to get within X number of meters of the ship. It's been a little while since I've docked. Had to dock two things together. So as we all know, the faster you go towards an object, the more you have to slow down to return from an object. So it's always a good idea not to use too much RCS or to use too much power when thrusting towards an entity. So we are heading towards it at 1.7 meters per second. We do want to head as close to it as possible, which is why we have MechJeb down here telling us to do our thing. But at the same time, we also want to make sure that we get close without smashing into. So it looks like we're currently at about 72 meters, roughly. 68 meters. Okay, so let's go ahead and fast forward time just a teeny tiny bit, get us there a little bit faster. Now, what's really great about this is docking has become a little bit easier for myself over time. Still takes a little while, but with all the fun new little gadgets and doodads and bits and bobs, we actually did a really good job. Oh no, and here we have a problem. It looks like, yeah, the Xavier still has its tank attached too. I completely forgot that we left it on there. So let's go ahead and switch to the Xavier. Now the Xavier is going to have to detach this little guy here. Can we kick? Do we have? We don't have electricity on here, do we? We don't. So let's go ahead and kick off our lights, and we're going to decouple this node. And that's going to be a little bit of a problem for our other ship. So where are we? Okay, that's that one. That's that one. Here we are. All right. So it's going to be a little bit of a problem because I completely forgot that we had that node on there. I left it on there because I was thinking about the fuel consumption and everything else. So we're going to have to play bumper cars. We're going to have to play a little bit of bumper cars here. That's going to be very entertaining. Alright, so let's go ahead and flip over to rotation, and we just want to rotate around. And we want to hit on something that's not too breakable, is really how we want to do this. So we want to just tap something that's not too easily broken. So let's rotate all the way around, like so. And that should bring us in a little bit sideways. So we're going to come in a little bit sideways from where we're supposed to be. But I should be able to do this. And then this. And that should help us out a little bit. Are we coming around the dark side of Kerbin? Is that what's going on right now? Ooh, yeah, we just lost the sun. Okay, I just lost visual on our ship. I can kind of see MechJeb there blinking. Oh, I can kind of see it here. Alright, so we want to get closer. Come on, come on. Oh, I'm thrusting in the wrong direction. That might be why there's an issue. I'm thrusting in the wrong direction. Let's do that. There we go. Yep, I was definitely thrusting in the wrong direction. Better. Much better. Alright. I'm getting closer now, or? Not good. Not good. Let's check our... Yeah, we got enough fuel for ours. Yes, we're fine for this docking maneuver. Yeah, I was definitely thrusting in the wrong direction. Here we go. 30 meters. 20 meters. 18. 17. 12. Okay. So we're going to do this. We're going to get a little bit close. Probably a little bit too close, honestly, now that I'm thinking about it. But we'll give it our best shot, everybody, right? That's what we do around here. Now, unfortunately, that decoupler does not have a large push on it. That is a big, big, big issue. It does not have a large push to it, which can cause a little bit of a problem. Alright, so we're still coming up a little high. All I can really see, I mean, I can see MechJeb, which I know is at the top of the tank. And I can see the Xavier, and I know they're connected right about, yeah, right about here. So we want to bump the Xavier, or the Xavier's tank. Oop, whoa, 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 frame rate issue. Yeah, we want to bump the Xavier's tank a little bit closer to its center beam. But it looks like we're getting a bit of a frame rate drop. Probably from all the surface interactions, or from all the interactions. Let's bring ourselves down a little bit more. Now this time I'm just eyeballing it, because I don't have... Oh, hello. Hello. Okay, so it looks like he moved a little bit. That's good. That's good. That'll help us out when we do our little bump. We're still going to bump him. We're still going to bump him, but we're going to bump him very gently. Because we just want him to go away. Just a little bit. We don't want to hit him too hard. Alright, here we go. Here we go. We're coming down. A little bit tight. A little bit tight. Alright. Alright. Not too much. Not too much. Not too hard. Just a little love tap. Just like that. Yeah? Yeah, nice little tap. Just like that. Okay, perfect. Alright. Now I gave him a teeny burst of speed to get him out of our way. Now we want to turn, and we're going to target our guy here. Now I do have the docking cam. I do have, well, it's a docking alignment indicator. It's not a docking cam. I decided to go the Scott Manley route and give it a shot in comparison to the docking camera. Docking camera works just fine, but I was just curious, and of course, as we all know, when you're curious about something, it's always good to test it out. So we want to spin this way. And I do love the hitchhiker. Look at the hitchhiker, guys. I redesigned it specifically for 0.21, which is the version we are still in. I know 0.22 recently came out, and everyone's been asking how I'm going to cope with such an event. Have not decided just yet, but I will say that the hitchhiker is working in 0.21 with an insane amount of awesome. There is no question there. It is perfectly functional. I do love this little guy. Let's go ahead and go up. Alright, so here's our alignment indicator. Let's yeah, our alignment indicator is fine, but it's not, I'm not sure how it works. So I'm still kind of going by what I'm looking at here. We want to go down, and I think we still want to rotate forward just a little bit. Is that what we're doing? Okay, I think I got this. I think I figured this out. So we want to rotate, not that way, not that way, not that way. I know we're losing the ship a little bit. There we go. There we go. There we go. Okay. Can you lock us in there, little buddy? All right. Not perfect. Not perfect. We're a little high up, but if we do a linear adjustment down and forward, maybe. No, sorry. That's not down. That's up. Stop that. There you go. I guess I could use this in conjunction with the docking cam, which is of course still installed without a problem. But being here on the dark side of Kerbin, not entirely sure best idea. Let's go ahead and fast forward time a little bit. We are going to still approach. We're going to approach very slowly. I really wish we could get to the light side of Kerbin quickly enough. But I love how we have two orange tanks floating on either side of us as we attempt to dock. It looks like we're going to come to our closest approach here in a second. And we're very close. I know you guys can't see it, and I do apologize, but it's right here. Kind of bright, kind of scary, kind of airy. We should slow down a little bit and back off, I think is what we'll do. There you go. Yeah, we came a little bit high into the right of it, which is not good. So I have to learn how to use this new cam here. Okay, so this green X is... Okay, now I figured it out. This green X is our target. This is our nose. This is our alignment or adjustment for movements. This, I think this is its direction to us, so it's moving up and to the left, which is the direction it's supposed to go. So if I have this right, I should be able to dock this in the dark without a problem. If I have this right. No idea if I have it right, of course. I have no idea if that's the correct thing that I'm doing here, but we're going to figure it out. Alright, so our distance is 11.1, 11.2, so we are moving away from it. We'll thrust forward just a teeny tiny bit to keep that from happening. Not perfectly dark, mind you. Okay, game, come on. I'm kind of getting impatient because docking can take such a long time if you're super duper cautious, which I sort of am. I try to be anyway. Are we nose heavy a little bit? I think we might be a little bit nose heavy. So it's the ship is not perfect still. The ship is not perfect still, but it's pretty close. Pretty close. All right. Yeah, I think we're still a little bit heavy in the nose. We're not. I'm not. Yeah, I'm not entirely sure how that's going. Okay, there we go. So I guess we can just thrust up to make sure that we kind of stay level a little bit. I'll keep going down. All right. So once that green arrow or that green bar is there, we line up like so, right? And then we thrust in this direction. Now that should be us and them. We should be almost perfectly aligned. I think we're tilted forward a little bit, so we're at an angle. As you can see here, we're at a slight angle, and that might be what that means. Is that if we do this, that fixes. There you go. Okay, so that's our angle alignment. Aha! I'm learning. All right, if we scooch down just a little bit, that should come up. And then once we're aligned again, just do that, just do this. Now if I'm right, and I've done this correctly, I should be able to thrust directly forward and just lock right in without any kind of brakes or brushes or booms. If I'm wrong, we're going to get a crunch. So let's go. Oh, there it is. There's our docking port right there with our lights and everything showing us our docking port. How far off are we? Oh, look at that. All right. Boom. Perfect docking. So yeah, if you guys are worried about the docking cam, maybe it takes up a little bit too much power, maybe you don't like it, maybe it makes you a little bit nervous, perfectly understandable. Absolutely. Go ahead and download the docking assisted module, I believe it's what it's called. I don't remember off the top of my head. I actually can't I can't pull it up, but if you look for docking assist, or if you check out Scott Manley's videos, it will show that docking assist camera, and that's what that is. That will allow you to dock. So it has the three markers. It has the yellow marker, which shows your direction, the big orange marker, which shows your tilt, and then the green crosshair and the white crosshair show your nose and its nose. On the docking port you have acquired, and look at that. Without you on the dark side of Kerbin, without even being able to see what we're doing, we go click and boom, we have ourselves a dock. Look at that. Now ooh yeah. Lots of lights on, so we have a little bit of light flickering issues, so we'll go ahead and kill those. It's a little bit too bright. We're back on the bright side of Kerbin, so that's not too big of a deal. But let's go ahead and check. Well, let's switch back to staging. We will lock our staging for safety. We will check our so as you can see, our Duna rendezvous point is still way off from here. And because of that, I'm thinking that there's a possibility that maybe we should not... that I'll have to speed up time off camera again and clean up our mess, because we do have a fuel tank floating around right over there, and we have another one floating around right over there, and that honestly, debris that close to us, in orbit with us, it makes me very nervous. It makes me very nervous. But we do have our hitchhiker stuck on here. Looks like we have our Delta V of 5387 to get to Duna. That's way more than enough. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and cut here really quick. We're going to try to get Duna into a semblance of a level orbit. We're also going to get rid of our garbage. And you know what we haven't done? Let's go ahead and I'll have to move you for a second there, Jeb. Pardon me. Let's go ahead and rename our vessel. Now it is a KSA Xavier, but it's not a lander. It's not a lander. Honestly, right now, boom. Station. I guess we could call it a ship, but honestly, it's a station. You guys know it's a station. I know it's a station. Let's not lie to ourselves. So we're going to go with the station. Oh, no, we do have power. Okay, I did put some solar panels on there. I completely forgot that I did that. The other thing I want to do is I want to control from here to make sure we're controlling it from the right end of the ship. Now, there's not enough crew to do anything, but we do have a mechanical brain down here, which will run the rest of the ship. And as I said, we'll go ahead and try to get this thing to Duna. Going to take us a little while, but that's all on my end. So I will see you guys once we start our burn to get to Duna. No problem. So I'll see you guys there. Alright everybody, we have begun our burn to Duna. So here we are with the Xavier, excuse me, either one. We are in fact 600,000 meters out from Kerbin, because I just wanted to bring us far enough out to where I could time warp, so Duna's percentage yield, I suppose, or percent angle was down to 1. This burn is actually a little bit lighter than it would normally have to be. It's only 955 meters per second versus the standard 1018. Not sure how I cut it so short, but Seems to be working okay. So this is going to take a little while, of course. It's going to take roughly 11 minutes for this burn to kick through, and then hopefully when we come out the other side, we'll be about 4 million meters off of Duna's side. I'm not sure if we'll be in an interior orbit or exterior orbit, but hopefully when we get there, we'll be within a nice good orbit, or a nice good range to get into a nice circularized orbit. And then from there we have to decide where we're going to plant this little guy, because of course we know that this is not a lander. It is in fact the core of a station. And we have to figure out exactly where we're going to put it around Duna. So that's going to be kind of a big thing. I think I already know, but I want to do some checking and some testing. So before we do, before we come back, I'll probably just do a quick look around once I get into a semi-stable orbit, and then we'll see where we can put it, and then I'll have you guys join up when we plant it down. So I'll see you guys when we're around Duna. Sweet stuff, that. Alright everybody, here we are around Duna, sort of. We came in at we came in at a really good angle. I will honestly say we came in at a really awesome angle. The only problem is that we came in on this side of the planet, which of course would put us in a retrograde orbit. Not what I wanted to do. We wanted to go into a prograde orbit with the planetary rotation, so I had to burn just for a couple seconds to get us on the other side. We did show up with 33 meters per second of fuel. Tons of fuel. I love the Hitchhiker. I really do. I really do need to build a lighter version, though, because similar to large launch platforms, this thing does tend to burn its own fuel down just to move itself. And this thing only weighs, like, what, 15 tons, was it? Yeah, like 15 tons? This much fuel is not needed, honestly, to get us out here. I would have to fix it, like, make it to where I would just have to readjust it to where it would still function, but still leave a little bit of room for error and readjustments. But making it lighter would, of course, make it better, because I think by itself it's like 20 tons because it's mostly fuel. But we're going to go ahead and burn in 15 hours and 1 minute, and because I've been having a little bit of frame rate issues, you might see this blip every once in a while, and I'm not sure why it's doing that. Don't know what part is doing it, if there is a part that's doing it, or if it's just all the parts doing it, but every once in a while my frame rate goes really to crap. So what we're going to do is I'm going to go ahead and cheat a little bit. I've already set up the maneuver node. We're at 100,000 meters on this side of the planet, 100,000 being about basic, and is a good place to start from to do some testing. Very basic testing, or at least a very basic view. And so we're going to just go ahead and go to the maneuver planner, and I'm going to have MechJeb auto warp us and execute the node, just so he can get it done and he can do it right, and I don't have to worry about it. So yeah, our periapsis is at 99.254 kilometers, so it's a little high. But we're going to come in, we're going to miss Ike, pretty close, but we're going to miss Ike. Ike does like to screw with us, he really does, but we are going to miss him. Hey Ike, how's it going? And then of course we are going to come in at roughly 99 clicks, and yeah, so for this one I decided to have MechJeb do the burn, because I was debating that for a while as I was coming out here. I was thinking to myself I should do the burn, but I'm just not feeling it. I know it sounds really weird, but honestly I don't want to do the burn. I'm just not feeling like I should, so I'm gonna let MechJeb go ahead and handle that one. So we have to slow ourselves down by 602 meters per second. It's going to be a 6-minute burn, and 3 minutes till the node is complete. Since it is going to take time, and we are not going to, well, we can't, what's the word I'm looking for? we can't accelerate time. I'm going to go ahead and let MechJeb do this, but I did want to bring you guys in when we're doing the burn. And then once we get into a 100,000 kilometer orbit, because I believe I put the other side at 100,000 as well, so I basically circularize the orbit at this height, excuse me. We're going to do that, and then we're going to use whatever fuel we have left to do some micro adjustments, and then we're going to decide where to go from there, because I have a couple of ideas, and these ideas are really awesome, but also very, very scary, and possibly, well, I won't say cheaty. They're not cheaty. It's really hard to say. You guys will have, I'm actually going to kind of throw it up to a vote, but we'll have to see here in a minute for you guys. So be prepared to debate and vote on something important here in a few minutes. But for now, we're just going to go ahead and get the Xavier into orbit. And then once that's into orbit, we're going to adjust it, flatten it out, make sure it's nice and even, and then get it to the height that we want it to be, whether it be really close to the atmosphere like the bubble was, or really far out, you know. And that will, of course, also depend on the speed, because the speed of its orbit will depend on whether or not we can catch up to it easily. So that's the kind of stuff we're going to test. But yeah, I wasted most of the time talking about this, so let's just go ahead and let that burn, and I'll see you guys on the other side. Alright, everyone, a little bit slow, a little bit laggy, unfortunately. I'm not sure why it's happening. I really wish I did. Maybe a couple of parts, maybe there's something I put here on the hitchhiker. I don't know. It comes and it goes, but after 238 days of mostly floating around waiting for Duna to be in the right position, we are now in orbit. And as you can see, we are in orbit at around 60,000 meters. Our apoapsis is 60.808. Our periapsis is 60.653. And the reason that I chose this height is because the bubble around Kerbin is 70? Yeah, 70 kilometers above the surface, with the atmosphere starting or finishing at about 60 kilometers. On Duna, the atmosphere stops at 50, so of course we're 10 kilometers above the atmosphere, just to make sure that we don't accidentally scrape and crash into. We could probably go down to almost 52. I mean, if we really wanted to push it, we could cut it all the way down to 52. But again, we do want to leave a little margin of error and a little margin of safety. I did realize, of course, that we'd have to be going a slower speed in order to, well, basically we have to go 889.6 meters per second to keep this orbit, and that's not very fast at all. That's almost fast enough. I think that's good enough for us to be able to get something off the planet and then up into orbit without too much difficulty at all. We are still in an equatorial orbit. I think our orbit might be a little bit off by a couple of degrees here or there. I may fix that to try to get us as close to 0 as possible, or alternatively, we may fix that to where our orbit semi-consistently crosses our landing zone, because we're not going to be landing on the equator with our landing craft. We've already picked a zone, and it's south of the equator. So it really depends on how we want to do that. North-south orbit might work. It would be best but we'd only have two points in time where we'd be able to launch our ship directly into the path of this station if we went north and south. By keeping on an equatorial orbit, basically any attempt that we made to launch would always put us at least at some degree closer to orbit with this than not, is what I think. So I think for the moment, at least, we'll keep it at this angle, at this speed, at this height. So we can see some of the mountains as we go around Duna, but it's still pretty sweet. Now, from here, we're going to head very quickly back to the KSC, because as always with any kind of space station or ship or shuttle or anything like that that has nodes, we need to add nodes to it. I wanted to give you guys a heads up, though, that the hitchhiker will remain on board, because while... Oh... Yeah, that's the probe sending data back. A little annoying, I do apologize, it's a little loud. I hope it's not too loud for you guys. Yeah. Give it a second. Okay, there you go. Yeah, that's the probe body sending data back. It doesn't happen very often. I tried to turn it way down, but it happens every once in a while. It's only happened twice in the full time that this video was recording, so it's not really, or that I was playing through this, so it's not that bad. But we are leaving the hitchhiker here because it does have a lot of fuel left in it. It is a fully functional ship, and if we do any kind of kethane fuel transfers, anything like that, we have an RCS tank and a lot of fuel tanks here for it. So, and we can also adjust the orbit of the current body before we add any kind of unevening nodes to it very quickly. But for now, we're going to head back to the KSC. We're going to do some more stuff, and then you guys are going to, as I said, you're going to be able to vote a little bit on what we do next, because I have installed a new mod, which I'm hoping will enhance KSC, KSC, the KSP, and the KSA. I'm hoping it will enhance all of those things, and I'm hoping you guys will like it, and we'll take it out on a test flight. And then you guys can tell me what you think, and whether or not you think we should continue using it or not. So I'll see you guys back at the vehicle assembly building. So I'll see you there. Alright everybody, here we are back in the vehicle assembly building, and as you can see from the name up there at the top and the vessel info down at the bottom, we do have a vessel loaded. Now it's not on screen right now because it's up above, because I wanted to give you guys a little bit of an overview. Now I've already built the vessel, because I will tell you that I spent 11 hours performing a stream on the mod that is currently being used on this particular vessel. And any of you who watch Scott Manley will also know about this mod. It's called the Interstellar mod. And it's a very interesting mod that adds science to KSP 0.21 in such a way that is very interesting. Now, for those of you who know 22 came out, and it adds science in career mode to where you collect science, and that science unlocks tiers of parts. Now that gives you more parts to work with and allows you to go farther and learn more. So you start out with like this command pod, and then later on you can unlock this command pod and these pods and so on and so forth. Well, this one works in a similar fashion but in a different way. Science is a resource which you earn over time. You like harvest it, I guess you could say. And once you build up enough, you then spend that science on parts you already have access to make those parts work better. And as an indication, let's go ahead and take a quick look at some of the parts that we have. Now, most of the parts are under utility, and they're things like thermal generators, antimatter reactors. That's a hybrid engine. That's not part of that particular mod. Lots of mods installed, so I have to find them again. So like this, we have a 3.75 meter electric generator. Now if you notice, it says percentage of Carnot efficiency is 24%, upgrade information, upgraded percentage of Carnot efficiency 60%. So what that means is it generates power at 24% efficiency, and then once it's upgraded using the science points that you earn, it gets up to 60%. And same thing here. Now with the science, now they've added a few things under science, including the science laboratory. Now this is the only way I'm aware of to generate science, is with the science laboratory, and it's a little bit bigger than the hitchhiker container, and it's got internals, and it's pretty interesting. It's about 3 meters across, I believe. And if you notice there, I did add the Ion Cross crew support, so it is currently installed with the Ion Cross crew support, so it does follow our standard Permadeath series rules with regards to air. But one of the parts that is in this mod that is very, very interesting is the warp drive. Yes, it's a warp drive, and it's these right here. So it's the Alcubierre drive is what they are, and it's a 1.25 meter, 3.75 meter, and 2.5 meter. Now, the Wallop 1, as you can see there, is currently sporting one of these drives. I believe it's the it's a 1.5 meter drive, so it's the smallest drive available, and if you notice, it's just large enough to basically carry a teeny tiny pod. Now if you take a look at the ship, we do have a return portion with a parachute and with a little itty bitty thing here. Now, you know what? I'm thinking about it, I'm looking at it, and I'm thinking to myself, probably not the brightest idea. I did leave off a couple of very important pieces, so let's go ahead and fix that. Now, as I said, I spent 11 hours going over this mod, and I had to explain this like 12 times over the course of the 11 hours. But basically, what it is you have a reactor, a nuclear reactor that creates heat, a thermoelectric generator that converts heat into energy, and then the warp drive, which uses exotic matter. Now these are just an electric generator and a reactor. The reactor uses uranium hydrofluoride 6. UF6 is what it's called. It uses it very slowly. One of these comes with like 1.2 units of it, and it uses it very slowly over time. But it will run out. It will drain. So it isn't an infinite power. It is a finite power. The electric generator only works if this is producing heat, and these vents here are just basically to keep them from overloading, because once the heat builds up too high, of course, boom, right? You know what? I haven't tested this against the Deadly Reentry mod either, so I don't know how that's going to affect it, but that's what this is all for. Now the thing with the warp drive is where some warp drives will speed you up and slow you down to incredible speeds. This warp drive works a little bit differently. And what I'd like to do is I'd like to go ahead and we're going to do a little test flight. We're going to do a realistic test flight to show you guys how this mod works. And what I want is, after I show you how this mod works, we're just going to do a quick flight, probably between here and the moon. Nothing huge, nothing big, just a quick little test flight between here and the moon, nothing gigantic. Let's go ahead and go with a 6-cylinder asparagus, I think, would be a good set. Yeah, this is too big. Take that off. Grab that and should go, there we go. Yeah, so we're just going to do a 6-cylinder asparagus launcher, which should be more than enough delta V to get us into orbit. So we're going to do a realistic launch to get this thing into orbit. Now, I'm not going to show you guys the launch because we know this asparagus system works. I know how this thing gets into orbit. It gets into orbit like every other ship available, every other ship out there. But once we are in orbit, we are going to take this thing out for a quick jaunt. And for that, we are going to select one of our test crew. And there he is, Bob Kerman. Bob Kerman is going to be our test crew, just for safety purposes. For action groups, yeah, I should put this on under action group. So we're going to go ahead and toggle radiators under action group. And I think that's going to be all we worry about right now. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and get this thing into orbit for you guys. And what I'd like to do is I'd like to just ask your opinion. I'm going to show you how this works, and then I'm going to ask you guys whether or not you think this technology is something we should allow in Kerbal Space Adventures. I know, right? Now, just so you guys know, this stuff here, the reactor and the heat exchangers, I will use these regardless, because these just generate power and they're pretty awesome. And these reactors are heavy. They are heavy, so they are fairly well balanced. And I say that because if we go back to the reactor here, let me just take a quick look. This 1.25 meter reactor, this same one here, is 2.5 tons. And then it goes up to, the tiniest one is 0.3337 something, so you could use this to power a small space station, because you have this one, and then I think there's a really teeny tiny, yeah. So you could use that pair to power a small space station for a long time. But of course, the bigger the power, the more efficient it is. But this one right here, 43 tons. I mean, that's a 43 ton reactor, and look at that, it's barely the size of the ship. But it's heavier than most fuel tanks. So the mod is very, very well balanced. But the only part that I think may be a little bit over the top would be this warp reactor. And I already have some rules set up in my head with regards to how they would work. So I will discuss those once we get into orbit, because this takes a little bit of time to charge. I'm not going to have you guys wait while it charges. But I will discuss it with you while we are using it, and that way you guys know my opinion of it, and I will know your opinion of it. And then if you guys say, hey, you know what, we don't think this is a good part of the mod, we don't want it in there, I will absolutely reject it and not use it, and we can move on from there. If you guys do think it's a good part, if you do think it's a good mod, if you think it would add something fun, interesting, or entertaining to Kerbal Space Adventures, plus add, of course, psychotic amounts of danger to the Permanent Death series, go ahead and throw that in there in the comments as well, and tell me, and we'll keep it on. But of course, you do have to see how it works, so let's go ahead and get out there. Well, I'll be on the launch pad, but I'll see you guys in orbit, so I'll see you there. Alright, everybody, we just got enough exotic matter for a single burst from our warp engine. And as you can see from our in-game time, it took 3 days of flying around Kerbal. 3 days of in-game time of flying around Kerbal in order to gain just that much exotic matter. So I'm not going to spend 3 more days. But what we're going to do is we're going to switch to our map really quick, and we're going to target the moon. And then that will give us a little bit of a crosshair to aim at. Now, what's interesting about this mod, is I'm going to give you guys a heads up, is the way it works is, if you see we're currently traveling at 2,306.8 meters per second relative to Kerbin, and Kerbin is traveling at about 4,800 meters per second relative to the sun. If we were to travel from here to Minmus, our orbit would not change to, or excuse me, from here to the moon, would not change to be around the moon, and our speed would not change to be heading to the moon. Our speed would remain 2,307.3 meters per second relative to Kerbin. What that means is our orbit will drastically change from this warp jump. Additionally, it also means that you can't jump from planet to planet. So we can't leave Kerbin and jump to Duna and be at Duna like if we would have done it through the standard process. We would be still traveling at a speed relative to Kerbin, which is too slow to be at a speed relative to Duna. And the same thing, like if Kerbin, like you have to wait for phase angles, right, in order to like throw yourself out into space and then catch up to Duna. It's very similar to this, except the phase angles are like at 90 degrees rather than at 20 or 50 or 60 degrees, depending on the planet you're going to. So if we were to leave Kerbin right now and try to go to Duna, we would basically miss. We could fly by it, we could watch it as we flew by, but the warp drive will get you from point A to point V very quickly, but it will not slow you down once you get there. It also will not, it does not function as a normal engine. So we're going to go ahead and show really quick what happens when you use a warp engine. We're just going to travel kind of towards the moon. We may even overshoot the moon, which could be a real big problem, because this thing, I mean, we will be traveling at 10% the speed of light. We go ahead and keep an eye on the moon, and we're just going to go ahead and activate our warp drive, and I'm hoping we don't kill Bob, but there's a slight chance that we may do that. So let's go ahead and activate. Okay, and then we shut it off, and there's our distance from Kerbin. So that was just one little warp jump. And we are now at 42,000 kilometers away from Kerbin. Now, if you remember, we were in orbit around Kerbin right about there, right? And I think I told it to stop charging. Let's go ahead and check it. Yeah, I did. So let's go ahead and start charging again. Now, if we take a look at our orbit, look at our orbit. We're basically traveling 2,278 meters per second in this direction. Now we have a moon periapsis, so we can take a look at our moon periapsis, and we can try to slow ourselves down. But if you notice, look how much speed we have to burn off to slow down. 1,719.8 meters per second, which is way too much. It's way too much. Luckily for us, Bob has enough oxygen in order to survive, and maybe we can turn around and warp our way back. But that little itty bitty warp jump didn't change our speed. It didn't change any of our numbers. All it did is changed our position in space, and that's it. It just changes our position in space. So it's not an easy fix. It's not a way to get from planet A to planet B and instantly be there. You still have to go through maneuvers. You have to go through very specific maneuvers. Like, we flew directly at the moon, but our direction of travel is the same regardless. So right now, what we're going to have to do is, although we're going to get captured by the moon, we are still traveling at basically 2,000 meters per second this way, which means we'll hit the moon and we'll fly by the moon, but we will not be captured, and we don't have enough fuel to slow down. So we'll just go ahead and speed up time. And as you can see, Kerbin is pulling on us and slowing us down, and the moon's going to pull on us and speed us up a little bit, and so on and so forth. But it's not going to be enough, and as I said, we don't have enough power to stop. Now, we can watch our warp drive charge. So we're at 17%. We have enough oxygen, so Bob is fine. Bob is absolutely fine right now. But I don't know how we're going to get him back. Okay, so there we just got captured by the moon. So there's our moon capture. But we don't have enough delta V to slow down, because instead of transferring to the moon like you normally would by adding just enough speed to your current thrust in order to catch up to the moon, or to go out to the moon, we just basically threw ourselves at the moon like a slingshot. So again, it may seem like a really easy thing. It may seem like a very cheaty device, or something that's like, oh my god, that's way too easy to use. It is not. So see, now the moon has grabbed us, and when we're flying by the moon, so we're speeding up, and then as we fling past the moon, we will again slow down. But again, that has affected our orbit a little bit, but it honestly hasn't caused us to slow down or speed up or anything. It basically kind of, yeah, and there we go, we're outside the orbit of the moon again. So, very, very, very scary mod. Bob may die here. Very, 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 very scary mod. Because of how powerful it is. I mean, 0.10, that was just 0.10 the speed of light. That was it. And that was like a 2-second burst. We made it halfway to the moon with enough speed to launch ourselves into deep space. As a matter of fact, if I had enough oxygen, and I think we do have enough oxygen, we could fly to another planet. We could fly past Duna if we wanted to. We wouldn't be able to go into orbit or do anything like that. We would just be able to fly past. But it's a very interesting mod. Now, in order to get this to work properly, what we'd have to do, I think, yeah, what we'd have to do is I'd have to target Kerbin. We'd have to turn around to basically the rear of our speed. So we can do that right now. We'd have to turn around like this, and then we'd have to aim for our reverse trajectory and fly past Kerbin without hitting the atmosphere. If we hit the atmosphere, this is the bad part. If we hit the atmosphere, it causes a massive glitch, which then, of course, breaks off all the parts, but it throws the command pod out into space at warp speeds. So Bob would be lost forever. But yeah, this is the mod that I'm curious. Well, this is the part. The warp drive is the part of the mod I'm curious about showing you guys. We do want to get Bob back. I wonder how much time we have here. Let's see. So we're at 62%. Let's go ahead and just keep going. We're not traveling very quickly, honestly. We're just traveling quickly enough, basically, to kind of get lost in space. Honestly, we're just outside the orbit of Kerbin. Is really how that works. But I think what we'll do is we'll warp time. We got to keep an eye on that O2 level. But so 90% gets us to a ready charge. So I think we'll go up to about 190. Just so we have a second charge going. I'm watching Bob's O2 regulator, and he's getting kind of upset. And I can completely understand. So here we go. We're traveling away from Kerbin at 1900 meters per second. Now, if we make it into orbit around Kerbin, let's go ahead and target Kerbin really quick. If we make it into orbit around Kerbin, No, I don't want to set the bubble as target. I want Kerbin as target. We would actually not have enough speed to. Okay, so it looks like Kerbin's not going to be our target. Let's go ahead and set as target. We should. Yep. So that's on Kerbin, so we should aim a little bit left of that. So we're going to aim a little bit left of that. Where's our camera at? Orbital, chase. Let's do chase. Chase is good for this because it's sort of like docking, but a little bit more crazy. Oh, you're fine, Bobby. You're fine, buddy. All right. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and activate our warp engine again, and since we've flown so far out, we can activate it and then run it for a little bit longer without too much concern. But we do still have to be concerned. We can't hit the atmosphere of Kerbin. That's a very big no-no. So let's go ahead and activate our warp drive again. And once again, we're traveling at 0.10 c, 0.10 the speed of light. Now you can turn your ship when you're going the speed of light, but it doesn't alter your trajectory, so there's really no point. Alright, so we have our warp drive, and we're just going to fly right by Kerbin, just like this. And boom. Alright, so now we're back to Kerbin. And let's just go ahead and check our trajectory. So here's our trajectory now, which gives we're 2 million meters out, and if we have enough speed, or if we have enough delta V, we should be able to. All right, so it would take 617 delta V just to get us into an orbit. Not even an orbit that would get us down into Kerbin. Yeah, we would not have enough delta V to get into a falling trajectory. So what we can do here is, again, this is a lot of it's not painstaking work, but it's scary stuff. So what we can do here is we can bring ourselves down like this, kind of aim down this way a little bit. Again, you kind of have to aim at the body that you're locked onto. We have 132 exotic matter. Now we're going to keep an eye on our periapsis, which is 2.2 million meters, since our periapsis is pretty set. And we're going to activate our warp drive. Periapsis, negative 570. So we're crashing into Kerbin, is basically what's happening. So as you can see, this is what happens if you're not cautious, if you're not careful. So we may kill Bob. We may actually kill Bob, but we're going to give it a shot. I think what we'll do is we will. Yeah, we're falling into Kerbin here, and we don't have enough exotic matter to stop. So what we're going to do is we're going to ignite what little fuel we have, and we're going to try to bring ourselves down at kind of an angle. Let's go ahead and do it like this. Let's go ahead and kind of do it like this. Is this the correct direction that we're going? Looks like not. Okay, we're wasting fuel going that way. So we'll go ahead and go this way instead. Or whichever way we can go. You know what? Honestly, I don't know. I didn't really plan ahead for this. Yeah, we're falling down one way or another. So, Bob, you may die, sir, but at least you'll die falling into Kerbin. But yeah, so that's how the warp drive works. It takes a lot of patience and practice to get it to work properly. It really does. It's not 100%. It's not perfect. You can easily crash. You can easily die. You can easily get lost in space. All those things are very true, and because of that, it is a mod. Like I said, the power generators and stuff, they are functioning. The science stuff is pretty awesome, and the science that you earn is dependent on what planet you're on. So each planet gives you different science, or different amounts of science, and the maximum amount of science I found that you can earn is about 1 science per day, is how that works. So because of that, yeah, we're falling, and there's really no way not to. Okay, let's go ahead and get rid of the garbage, because we have no choice now. And I hope you're okay, Bobby. We'll turn off that and try to come in at our. Yeah, there we go. I don't know how our ablative coating is going to handle this. Okay, so we're coming in kind of steep. So there goes our parts and pieces. Oh, Bobby. Oh, we lost our. Okay, we lost our lights. That's what we lost. Oh, Bob. Yeah. R.I.P. Bobby Kerbin. We'll not drop a flag for Bob, though. That's what the point of that was. It was using Bob because he is our test pilot. So Bob will not be used. And I think that Bob is actually a guy who will come back later. But yeah, so it's not a mod that's easy to use. It's actually very difficult and very scary. And so I want to get you guys' opinion on that. I want to know if you guys think it's a good mod, if you guys think it's a bad mod, if you guys would say no, 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 I don't want to have any part of that. A couple of the rules that I would use for the warp engine is it has to be piloted by a Kerbal, so it wouldn't be one of those things we attach a mechanical brain to and be like, okay, it'll be safe to fly no matter what. And since there are three different sizes for that mod, there's the small, medium, and large. The size of the warp engine and the reactor and the power generator must be equivalent to the device that we're sending. So if we're sending something that's 2 meters wide, we need a 2-meter wide one. If we're sending something that's 1 meter wide, we need a 1 meter wide one. And if we're sending anything 3 meters or over, we need a 3 meter wide one. When those ones are big, I mean, those things are huge. And so for that reason, it will be difficult to get into space and stuff like that. But as I said, something I just wanted to ask you guys' opinion on the whole warp drive thing. If you guys don't think it's a good idea, we can go ahead and skip it. But the rest of the mod will be included with the power generation and stuff like that, because that plus the science stuff, totally awesome. At least in non-career mode, at least in sandbox mode, it does give us a sciencey stuff to look forward to. But unfortunately, Bob Kerman did not survive our little test flight. Hopefully, he'll be back. Usually they come back, I hope. Jeb and Bill, of course, are up on Minmus still because of a glitch in another mod. But for now, we're going to go ahead and pause here in this nice little view of space. So once again, I would like to thank you all very much, very much for joining me, 4KB Short, on this Let's Play of Kerbal Space Program with Kerbal Space Adventures. And absolutely just go ahead and drop in the comments whether you think the warp drive is a good part to add or not, and whether or not you think we should use it or not. The remainder parts of the mod, of course, will be included with Kerbal Space Program because they're just pretty awesome, and earning something is a lot more fun than just doing stuff. So I will absolutely see you guys in the next video.